You've been coming to Thailand since 1992. You've seen the entire country.
Pretty much.
And why did you pick Pattaya?
I want to be by the beach, not that far from Bangkok, because everything's in Bangkok. The embassy's in Bangkok, you need something there. All your big malls, the airport's there, some of the best hospitals in the country are there. Flexibility is key. If you are not flexible, you will not make it here. I'll tell you another reason that I picked this, is to leverage the overbuilding of condos. So when I first moved here, I wanted to be in a condo. They've overbuilt condos to the point where you can actually get a condo cheaper here than you can get in even some rural areas.
Loucous, man, thanks for the tour of your neighborhood.
Yeah, man.
So cool, man. I know usually there's the quick questions people have when they hear about the American guy that relocates to Thailand, right? One, they're wondering how old you are.
I'll be 57 in a couple months.
Yeah, we're about the same age. I got 2 years on you. And then, what was your work in the U.S.?
Oh, jack of all trades. But the last 20 years I did fleet logistics. That's what I kind of retired from here. I did military, did some public service, but fleet logistics was the big thing for the last 20 years.
What does fleet logistics mean? Trucking?
No, well, that's part of fleet logistics. That can be part of. Fleet logistics is basically servicing a fleet or fleets of vehicles. So you got government fleets, rental car fleets, corporate fleets. We did corporate fleets. So all the dirty work, from procurement to storage to maintenance to anything in repairs, anything that's going to keep the car on the road.
And you retired?
Yeah, but I don't.
Or you left your work?
I left work, but yeah, in my mind, I retired.
I got it. Yeah, we never really retire. I mean, I don't ever want to retire, but per se, retired meaning retired from the U.S.
There you go. Retired from the rat race.
Retired from the rat race.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how long in Thailand? You said you moved. The first trip here was 1992.
Yeah, but I moved here in 2018.
Okay.
So this is my 7th year now.
7th year. So that puts you out of the zone of being the guy that moved here and after 2 years went back home. There's a lot of those.
That is, because it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. Let's get into that in a second. Do you have a wife or children back home?
No.
So you have complete freedom.
Yep.
Is there anywhere else you considered to live in Asia other than Thailand?
Yeah, I did. I was playing with the idea of the Philippines for a long time. I could never quite make peace with it. Because I had been here, in my mind, Thailand was the same as it was 30 years ago when I was coming here. But after I started looking and realizing that it had changed dramatically. When I was in Bangkok, there was no BTS, there was none of that. There was no Savannah Airport, it was Don Mueang only. You know, everything had changed in the 20 years that I hadn't been here. And I said, wow, the infrastructure seems off the charts compared to the Philippines. And I started looking more and more and more, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to start with Thailand. If things don't work out, I can always go to the Philippines. But after I made that decision, I kind of felt at ease. I kind of felt at rest with that, where when I was looking at the Philippines, I felt uneasy about it. I never could really make peace with that decision. So I'm glad it kind of worked out, you know.
So 7 years ago, you moved to Pattaya. How do you say it? Pattaya, or what's the right way?
Pattaya. But actually moved, I was living in Nha Trom Tien, which is past the very end of.
Yeah, so let's bring that up right now, because even randomly, as we were talking to a few guys that we were seeing here walking up and down the sidewalk, when I would say, oh, you moved to Pattaya, they say no. So before we get into this video too much, let's do this. I brought a map.
Right.
Kind of break down, I think there's like probably 4 or 5 areas to where we are here.
Right.
Can you kind of break those down? And I'll flash a map on the screen right now.
Yeah, so down here, Trom Tien, when that ends, you have Nha Trom Tien, okay? And then Pratamnak Hill, where we are right now, is between Trom Tien and Pattaya. This is Pattaya, central Pattaya. And you got North Pattaya, Wongamat Naklua up here. And then anything on this side of the highway, see the highway going up there? Anything over here is called dark side.
Dark side.
So that's all dark side.
Dark side as in naughty, or dark side as in dark side?
Dark side as in years ago there were no street lamps.
Okay.
And it was actually dark over there at night. All the bright lights were over here. But now there's street lamps out there. And some people say it's another reason, but I'm sticking with that. It just makes more sense.
Another reason.
Yeah. But that's your kind of 5 boroughs. If it was New York City,
yeah,
5 boroughs. Yeah,
got
that's what you got.
So it's almost like these 5 neighborhoods or areas. So almost like if you were in Arizona, you'd have Phoenix, and then you'd have Chandler and Mesa and Scottsdale.
Exactly, Glendale. Yeah.
So here we kind of have a similar situation. if you break those 5 areas down, what type, which foreigner watching maybe from the US might be attracted to each of the 5 areas?
Oh, well, it's hard to say. Everybody would have to, they're all different though. They're all uniquely different. You have to experience them. But here where we are, Pratamnak is more for families, professional people working. Jomtien is more for the people that don't want to pay the high tariff in Pattaya for the rents, but still want to be close enough to the action and they're more beach driven. So they would be Jomtien, not Jomtien. Pattaya Central, that's going to be for your partiers, your single guy wanting to party it up, wanting to go out to the bar every night, an easy ride back home on a moto taxi or whatever. Don't have to worry about driving. And you know, Thailand is one of the worst countries in the world to drive in. It's got one of the highest per capita fatalities on the road. So not driving is attractive to a lot of people. And they say, I'm going to live downtown where I don't need a car, I don't need a bike. I can take a bot bus, I can take a moto taxi, whatever. And then Wongamat, north of there, that's ethnically, it's a lot of Chinese up there. Where south ethnically, it's a lot of Russians, Jomtien, Pratamnak. But Chinese, Wongamat, everything's Chinese, Naklua. But I call that the Beverly Hills of Pattaya. It's more affluent. The rents are higher, the condos are more money. Also maybe a little nicer. And then you've got Dark Side. Dark Side is a mixed bag. But it's going to be people that really want to be in the neighborhood of Pattaya, but don't come into town but a couple times a year because they got everything they need out on the dark side. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Good restaurants.
You mentioned Chinese. I also noticed, I mean, I've just arrived last night, but there's a big Korean community.
South Koreans have really started coming here.
As a matter of fact, I stopped at one place just to poke my head in. It was early and it was big. You know, it looked like maybe karaoke. It was, but the guy grabbed me and said, no, Koreans only.
Yeah, I don't know how they can say that, but I believe it because that's how they kind of roll with some of their places. And they've started coming here in force since COVID. COVID.
Loucous, I want to go back to what you just said a minute ago. It's not for everybody.
It's not.
Who's it not for? Meaning, let's take that to 2 different angles. Pattaya 1, Thailand in general. Let's talk specifically about Pattaya because I feel like the kind of expat that chooses to live here is going to be very different than the kind of expat who chooses to live in Chiang Mai. I wouldn't want to live in Chiang Mai. I would consider here, but let's talk about Thailand then. Who is it not for?
It's not for, you have to have an honest conversation with yourself to determine if it's for you. And that question, there's only one question you need to ask yourself. And that is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the most, how flexible are you? How flexible are you? Are you a 1 where you got to have, every morning I have to have soft-boiled eggs, toast, and maple syrup for my pancakes, and I have to have this, I have to have that. I'll only eat Oscar Mayer hot dogs. You're a 1. You're not going to make it here. Or are you a 10? Are you flexible? Can you alter your lifestyle in the drop of a hat? Can you say, well, I used to wake up at 8 or 9 in the morning. Now I'm going to wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning. I'm going to do this instead of that. Flexibility is key. If you are not flexible, you will not make it here.
I'm reading a book called Awareness right now, and he talks about this, about formlessness, not being rigid. He said, also Robert Greene talks about this in the 48 Laws of Power, rigidity. And what you're describing is this ability to be formless and to be flexible. And what Robert Greene says, the more rigid we become, and that can happen at any age, is when we start to die. We can become old. And what I think is fascinating about what you're saying is, I'll be frank, I have to remind myself almost every day to be flexible. Because the moment I shift into a more of a rigid, I notice I'm not as happy.
And we tend to get into that groove in the rat race back in the US and maybe other Western countries. Here, it's different. If it doesn't happen today, it's no big deal. In the US, we need this done yesterday.
Sure.
Here, well, we'll try to get it today. It might be tomorrow, it might be next week. It'll happen. It just might not happen on your timetable that you have pre-installed in your head from the rat race.
Yeah, you know,
things are different here. It's slower.
It is a real test in patience. No matter what you're doing, whether you're going to the bank,
that's right,
or you're being forced to go to immigration. Forced meaning if you don't, they can kick you out.
That's right. That's right. So now you have choices. You don't have to go to immigration. You can send an agent to go to immigration.
You can work smart.
You can work smart. You can spend $5 or $6 and send an agent there to do your report.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think there's little tricks that you can implement
There's ways
to
around
make things
everything.
easy.
There's ways around
And
everything.
I think one of your life hacks, your little tricks for Thailand, you send someone. It's worth the money.
That's right.
Save your time.
I always say this: if you're doing business in Thailand, have Thai people do Thai business. Don't get mixed up with another foreigner. It's Thailand. Have a Thai person work for it.
Yeah.
Have a Thai person take
You
care
need
of
to
it.
have your kind of mentor, your coach, or somebody who's on your side. There's an attorney I interviewed in a previous video about Phuket. His name's Norson. I'll put a link in the description. For very affordable, he'll do all this stuff for you.
There you go.
Loucous, okay. You talked about the foreigner or expat who it's not for. Who is Pattaya for? Because we all know a lot of people watching who have not been here, or even those that do come, they put it in one box: the naughtiness, the sex scene,
The nightlife
the bars.
is
But you're
the
showing us
thing on the
today.
paramount, yeah.
You're showing us today, like what I would say, normal living: families, kids,
Yep.
schools.
Schools. I have some of my best friends here have kids in school. You know, just kind of like a normal family
Normal-
type thing.
normal
You know, they
family
got to do their
stuff.
homework at night. You know. And, well, I shouldn't say that this is the only bedroom community. The dark side is a lot of that as well. A little bit cheaper on the dark side. It's a mix. It's mostly couples, but it could be families out there as well. But who is it for? It's for the kind of person that wants to live in town. It's for the kind of person that wants some excitement. They like the nightlife. They want to go to all the bars and hang out. They love the socializing. You know, the bars and naughtiness is one aspect of it, but even with that is a whole nother. I know people that go to the bars with no intention not to socialize with the girls, socialize with their mates.
Got it.
Their buddies. You know, they have no interest. They were already happily married. They have no interest in that. They want to go and have a piss up with the guys. You know. So it's that socializing. If you're a social butterfly,
Loucous, let's talk about loneliness for a minute. They say back home in America, even worldwide, loneliness is become an illness.
Is that right?
People are feeling alone. I know when I'm home in the U.S., I feel alone. I feel lonely more than I do here. Even though back home, family, friends, it's something about the way I think the U.S., I spend so much time driving in the car. In the U.S., I don't here. I feel more human connection here.
You know, I lived overseas when I was in the military. I lived overseas about over 25% of my adult life, okay? But anyway, holidays. They say holidays are the worst. Christmas, Thanksgiving. And there's some truth to that. I would be in Germany and Europe, and Christmas would come, and I would feel or Thanksgiving, or I would feel kind of down in the dumps, you know? I don't feel that way here.
No.
I feel it's another day. I feel
But
like
you said
maybe
you
I'll
would
do
feel
something.
down on the dumps because you were away from the U.S.?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I actually would feel down on the dumps being in the U.S. during that time. You know, my family, we grew up with drama. Christmas was never enjoyable. I mean, maybe 1 out of 6.
Oh, but the turkey dinner and you got the football
The
game.
food, but
and-
I had the extended family or close friends. Those moments were enjoyable. But I actually kind of like being away from it now. I love being away from all the drama around Christmas of shopping, crowds. I just go to Japan, I still get to enjoy all the lights without all the drama.
Yeah.
No one's shooting people because they were grabbing the sale at Walmart.
Right.
You know, fighting over some box of
A $5 toaster at Walmart.
a toaster.
Yeah. Oh my God. I forgot all about all that. The Black Friday mob.
And being away from all that, to me, feels more peaceful.
It does, but when you mention loneliness, I think what I've heard was that you feel loneliest on the holidays if you're not engaged.
Well, in the U.S., and not only holidays, it hits me about the moment I land and get in a rental car. All of a sudden, I find myself on the freeway, whether it's Vegas or no matter where in the U.S., pretty much, driving.
That's right, all alone in the car.
And everything, and no human connection, meaning drive to Target, drive to Chipotle, drive to Costco, drive to the home, drive to the hotel. Not a lot of interaction.
I'd like to drive to Chipotle. I wish we had a Chipotle.
I do too.
But see, that's the thing though, but I'm flexible enough to say, look right over there. See through those trees, it says,
Dos Amigos,
open soon.
open soon. They'll
Okay.
probably do a similar.
Okay.
That's right, I'll take it.
I'm flexible.
It's funny you bring that up. There are certain foods I miss, one being most Mexican food, and I just have a rule. I don't eat Thai food in Japan. I don't eat sushi in Thailand. I don't eat Mexican food almost anywhere except Mexico.
There you go. Okay. Well, hey, get on the plane, man.
That's right, I do.
But no, I'm kind of set here. You know, I don't really travel out. I don't go back to the U.S. I don't go anywhere. So I like to have. It's nice having different tastes and different things that I've grown up with, and Mexican or Italian or whatever. It's nice to have that here. And they're coming. They've come such a long way. Oh my God, they've come such a long way. And now there's some really nice eateries here that feature ethnic cuisine.
Let's talk about food in Pattaya right now, because even I'm a foodie, and I love Indian food. I love Korean food.
They got it.
And what I noticed in Pattaya, for example, Korean food, it's the best in the country, because I think you have so many Koreans. Indian food, all the South Asian food, amazing selection.
So Indian food, that's South Pattaya. Go to South Pattaya, every kind of Indian cuisine. North Pattaya is going to be your Korean food. There's a whole South Korean plaza there now up by Terminal 21. They'll have all that. So you got to know the right areas to go. Chinese has an area, Indian has an area. Mexican's kind of peppered out here and there everywhere, you know. But Korean food, definitely North Pattaya for that.
Let's talk about not failure, but kind of. The guy that shows up in Pattaya, and I'm going to say doesn't make it, but I think in our life, everything has a lesson. It's part of the journey. So even if failure is not, I wouldn't label it that, but the guy that shows up and what he had intended it to be didn't work out and he had to go back home.
There's a lot of that, and Pattaya shines a light on that, because you'll have a guy that came here with the best of intentions. Live a simple life, scale down, nice weather, cheap cost of living, but they come here. If you have any type of vice or addiction problems, this is not the city for you. Pattaya is not the city for you. You want to look elsewhere. Because here, if you have those vices or addiction struggles, it will come to the forefront and you'll be broke in a year. I just talked to a guy Sunday, he owns one of the best restaurants in town. His first 2 years here, he was a tragic nightmare. He spent 2 million baht at a bar his first 2 years here.
Oh, over 2 years.
He dropped 2 million baht, he said, going out to the bar every night.
Now, would that include drinks and girls?
I guess. I don't know what he was doing. But, you know, just that kind of thing's easy to do. And that's what I'm saying, and he became an alcoholic, you know?
Yeah, because that's spending $2,500 a month in Pattaya.
If you got a vice, if you have an addictive type personality to things, I would say refrain from this area, find another area where there's less temptation. You know, but here, you have the temptation. If you can handle it, it's there. You might want to go out and have a night on Walking Street or at the nightclubs or at the bars or whatever. But that's it. It ends, and then you go about your normal life.
Loucous, let's talk about loneliness again in regard to female companionship.
No, plenty of that here.
How lonely did you feel? Because you were single back home.
Yep.
Compare your single, I mean, you have a partner now, but compare your being single in the U.S. compared to being single in Thailand. Talk about being single in the U.S. compared to being single in this area. What's the difference?
I think I would say your probabilities of finding a partner here are much greater, much higher. There are lots and lots of single women, middle-aged single women that are not pretentious, they make good partners. Thai women make good partners. You got to find the right one. You can't go shopping at the bars, you know. But there are women here. You get on one of these dating services. There are women here coming out the wazoo. You can't find a woman here, a girlfriend here, something like that. Then you probably I don't know. That's probably your last alternative. You can't find one here. I don't think you're gonna find one anywhere.
What's the downside to living in Pattaya compared to anywhere else in Thailand?
It's a tourist town, so you have all the shenanigans that go along with that. So with the whole tourist picture, you'll have peak season, which we're over now. It's low season now, but during peak season, you will have bedlam with traffic. You will have services get stressed. Even restaurants, coffee shop that we're at, we might not be able to get a table during high season. You know, the bot bus will be full during high season. You go into a restaurant, your favorite table's taken during high season. So you have that, and then you have the people that come here that don't know how to act. They come here, maybe it's their first vacation in 5 years. They come here, they go on a bender, they're drinking every night. maybe they're taking antipsychotics at home, they can't get that meds here, they're going off the deep end and doing stupid things. You get that kind of stuff. That's not anything to do with this place, it's the people that come here, and it's just one of those aggregate type results that you might see or experience. So you're not going to experience that out in the countryside somewhere. You're not going to experience that in the places where there aren't gobs and gobs of tourists.
You brought up the antipsychotics. If I wouldn't have had this experience I'm going to share with you right now, I wouldn't really know what you were talking about. But I was on Reddit. I really go on Reddit. And there was a post on there, a gal said, my brother's missing. I'm going to probably put a little bit of a clip up on the screen right now.
Okay.
I looked at the picture of the guy, and she said, we haven't heard from him since like February. I said, no, I have a video of him. I was making a vlog in Bangkok one day.
Oh, wow.
This guy was in the park he didn't look right.
Right.
I moved the camera and I was on him.
Wow.
And I forgot about it. So here we were last week, and I saw the picture. I said, I know that guy.
Wow.
I shared the video. The sister said, oh my God, this is the first sighting we had, but it ends bad.
Oh.
With the video, they hired an investigator. He died in a jail cell.
Oh my.
So 3 days after I saw him in the park, they took him they should have gone to a hospital. But back to your point, that it does happen.
Yeah.
This guy, I guess, didn't have his medication, and he ended up in
It
a
happens one of
jail
three
cell.
ways. Either they have the medication, but the whole travel and everything changes their routine and they're not taking it like they should be. Or two, their own alcohol here, which interferes with the medication. Or three, they thought they could get it here and they can't. Or
Yeah.
the ones that they got are different, it's the wrong dose. So it's one of those things, but a lot of people say, oh, it's these idiots that come. It's not, they're mentally ill. They have
Sure.
chemicals that will make
They're
them
not
right.
getting treatment.
And back home, they're perfect. But
Sure.
here, they're like Dr. and Jekyll and Mr. Hyde because they're not on their meds.
Yeah, I have a new compassion for what you're saying after that story that happened this week.
Terrible.
Loucous, okay, so you've left Pattaya. You've
Yeah,
moved to,
And I said I would because I moved here during COVID. This was the place to be, man.
yeah.
Without the tourists
I was in
here,
Phuket.
having the
I
whole
loved
town.
it.
But yeah, but I said, look, it's going to get crazy again. Wishful thinking on my part. I said, I hope it does come back and get crazy, and it did. Came back in spades. Although there's a lot of people that said Pattaya's finished, it'll never come back.
Sure.
It's come back
It's
bigger
back.
and stronger than ever. And that happened, and I moved out. I moved to quieter surroundings, less dramatic surroundings, and that's where I'm more happy.
Where are you now?
About an hour south of here, in a place called Rayong. It's one of the longest continuous beaches in the country. 10
Popular
kilometer
for
beach.
expats?
No. In fact, when I was there 33 years ago, there was no expats there. Now, there's a small handful, but by and large, it is the one area that has stayed the same or very close to the same in my 30-year point of reference. I go to Bangkok, I don't even recognize it. Here in Pattaya, I don't even recognize it. But there, pretty much the same. There's a sidewalk now.
What do you miss about the U.S.?
Nothing. I don't miss anything.
No?
I don't miss anything. Nope. I really, if I miss something, I'd tell you.
So you're not missing much about the U.S.
Nothing I'm missing. The longer I stay here, the less I care about what's going on there and what happens there and who the president is or who this is. I really don't care.
You know, it's interesting you bring this up because I think back home, what I observe even with friends and family, they get so consumed by the messages they're fed on a daily basis, whether they're watching CNN, whether they're watching Fox News, no matter what they're watching or consuming, that becomes their daily narrative.
Yeah, right. They want everybody at each other's throats. Keeps the money coming in. We're here. I'm just doing my own thing. You know.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
worry
right.
about any of that.
You're thinking about your next motorcycle adventure.
That's right.
And you bike all over Thailand.
I bought a touring bike when I moved here, and I basically took that all over Thailand. I just got rid of the touring bike. It has been 5 years old. Had almost 50,000 kilometers on it. And I bought more of a cruising bike because I'm done with the big long trips. It's so long between these points. And now what I've decided that I like doing better is putting the bike in the back of the truck and maybe going up to Chiang Mai or going down to Phuket.
And then you have your bike there.
Yeah.
Smart.
I like doing that because that way I can ride in the air. I've done all the roads. There's probably not a highway here I haven't been on. You know what I mean? But it's a long trip. It's a long trip
And it's stressful.
from Bangkok down
Even
to
like
Phuket.
I rode from Bangkok to here, and it's not like being on the freeways back home. It's stressful. There's trucks. They're close together. There's some potholes in the freeway. Why do you do your YouTube?
Something to do. That's the thing. You need something to do if you come here and you retire. I don't care if that something might be reading a book at the swimming pool. You might say, today I'm going to read chapters 3 and 4. If that's, I can't really do that, but if that's what you like doing, then do that. But you need something. When you wake up in the morning, you need that thing that say, this is what I'm doing today.
I agree.
If you don't have that thing of this is what I'm doing today, you're going to look around and say, oh, what's that place over there? Maybe I'll see what's in there. And that's going to lead to a course of destructive behavior. But like I said, it doesn't have to be anything groundbreaking. It could be, I'm going to try that other beach. I've never been to that beach. I'm going to try that beach today. Whatever.
I feel like what we're talking about is purpose, having purpose, no matter what that is. It might be the gym. You see a lot of guys our age in the gym being fit. You see a lot of guys doing what we do. We do YouTube. And I agree with you. I love making videos. And thank you guys for watching our videos. But it feels good to be doing something. The guy that it's danger zone is the guy that doesn't have it.
That's right.
And then he ends up, like you said, kind of aimless in the bar. And it could happen at any age.
It could.
Even the young guys end up kind of aimless sometimes.
And I told you, the good thing about Pattaya is whatever your hobby, there's somebody else, there's another group that's into that. And you just mentioned the gym. Well, where we're sitting here, Pattaya, this is the central for those kind of people. So there are
I saw a bunch of gyms.
More gyms here per capita than anywhere else in the area. There's even shops that specialize in healthy eating. Look what's on the counter back there. Whey protein. At a coffee shop. How often do you see that? That's because this area caters to that kind of thing. So there's the whole gym, the bodybuilder scene, whatever, the weightlifting scene, that's all right here, Pattaya Hill, kind of the center of that. So there's an example. If that's your thing, then they've got great gyms and all this stuff, you know.
Loucous, okay, as we kind of wind down here, thank you. Say there's somebody watching from the US and now they've already been curious about maybe relocating to Thailand. Say they're going to come here for a week and check it out. What's their 7-day itinerary? Where should they stay? What should they go explore in Pattaya?
Well, if they were coming here for a week,
2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks, okay, that's a lot better. Yeah, I would hire, especially if you're only here for the week, but if you got 2 weeks, maybe you can do some of this by walking or whatever, but I would hire a taxi and for the day, which is how much you want for the day, 1,000 baht, 2,000 baht for the day, 50, 60 bucks for the day, and take you to all the different neighborhoods, all the different areas and see, and maybe stop here, stop there, get a feel for all the different areas here and see where it is that you feel the best, that you think makes the most sense for you. Then save one day to sit down with a realtor, a good realtor, the broker, the actual broker, not some agent, in his office. And even if you've got to pay him a little bit, say, look, tell me about all the different neighborhoods, tell me what the rents are per square meter in Jomtien versus Naklua versus, and kind of get that under your, get that into your head and learn as much as you can about that, because the housing and where you feel the most comfortable, that's your big decision. If you make the wrong decision and say, I'm just going to take the first thing I see, you might be unhappy at that place, and then that's going to translate into you're unhappy in the area.
Got it.
Where that might not be the case, it's just you picked a bad building or you picked the wrong living arrangement or whatever. So do all your homework before you come. So when you get here for your 7 days, 14 days, you can hit the ground running and you'll know where all these areas are.
Map it out early, make those first 2 days valuable. Pick a right location where you want to stay. Have a driver to navigate through it.
Yep.
Okay, last thing, dating sites. When we talk to all your buddies, what dating sites do they swear by when they're in Thailand?
The one that probably makes the most sense is Thai friendly. Yeah. Even though there's a lot that's polluted with pay for play type stuff, but still.
There's still some good stories?
Yeah, you can, there's still viable people. They're really sincere ladies on there that have nothing to do with the entertainment industry that are looking for a partner or date or whatever. So that's probably the one I would sign up for. Yeah.
As we say kind of farewell for this part of the video,
cool.
Any final thoughts about Pattaya, Thailand?
No, just like I said, before you come here, determine how flexible you are, because that's going to determine your happiness. And if you're not that flexible, there's other places that you might be more happy than here, you know?
What if somebody told you right now and walked up and said, you got to go back to the US right now?
Oh, they'd have to take me dragging, kicking and screaming. They'd have to drag me kicking and screaming away. And I might. I mean, there could be something that happens with one of my parents. They're still alive. I dread that day, but if it happens, it happens. I have contingency plans to go back temporarily, if nothing else, but this is my home, this is where I'm going to be, this is probably where I'm going to die in all likelihood.
Yeah, good, man. Loucous, thanks, man.
All right, cheers. Nice to meet you, Phil.
Yeah.